In a small town near the hills lived a young man named Adam. He loved words more than anything. Every morning, he sat by his window with a cup of tea, watching the sunrise, and wrote his thoughts in a little brown notebook. His dream was to become a great writer one day. Adam didn't have much money, but he had a big heart full of imagination. He believed that stories could change lives. When he was sad, he wrote about happiness. When he was lonely, he wrote about friendship. His notebook became his best friend in the world. Every evening, he visited the old library in town. The smell of books made him feel alive. He read everything he could: novels, poems, and travel stories. The librarian, Mrs. Clark, always smiled at him and said, "Adam, one day, your books will be on these shelves." Those words gave Adam hope. He worked harder than ever, writing stories late at night under a small lamp. His room was quiet except for the sound of his pen. Sometimes he fell asleep with his head on the notebook, dreaming of readers who loved his stories. One day, Adam wrote a story about a boy who could talk to the stars. It was magical and full of meaning. He showed it to Mrs. Clark, who was amazed. She said, "Adam, this story shines. You should send it to a magazine." Adam smiled shyly, but agreed to try. He mailed his story to a famous magazine. Every day, he checked his mailbox with excitement. Weeks passed, but there was no reply. He started to lose hope. "Maybe I'm not good enough," he whispered. Yet, deep inside, he couldn't stop writing. One cold morning, Adam found a letter in his mailbox. His hands trembled as he opened it. It was from the magazine editor. The letter said, "Dear Adam, we love your story and want to publish it." His eyes filled with tears of joy. His dream was beginning. That night, Adam celebrated alone with a cup of hot cocoa. He looked at the stars and whispered, "Thank you." He felt proud, not because he was famous now, but because his words had finally reached others. It was a small start, but it meant the world to him. Soon, people started recognizing Adam in the town. Children asked him to tell stories, and adults admired his hard work. He became a local hero. Yet, he stayed humble and continued visiting the library every evening, still learning and improving. His next story was about an old man who painted dreams. The story touched many hearts. People said it made them cry and smile at the same time. Adam realized that writing wasn't just about fame, it was about connecting hearts through words. Months passed, and Adam's stories appeared in several magazines. But one day, he faced writer's block. No ideas came to his mind. He sat for hours staring at a blank page. "What's wrong with me?" he thought. He felt lost and worried. To clear his mind, Adam went for a walk in the forest. The sound of birds and the wind through the trees calmed him. He realized that stories live in nature too. Every sound, every sight, every feeling, everything tells a story if you listen closely. Inspired again, Adam began writing about nature, love, and peace. His words became softer and deeper. People said his new stories healed their hearts. He learned that inspiration often comes when we stop searching and start feeling life. One day, a big publishing company contacted him. They wanted him to write a full book. Adam couldn't believe it. He accepted the offer and started working day and night. His book was about dreams, courage, and never giving up. The writing journey wasn't easy. Sometimes he felt tired or unsure. But each time he read his old notebook, he remembered how far he had come. That notebook reminded him of his small beginnings and his love for storytelling. After 6 long months, Adam finally finished his book. He titled it The Light Inside. It was a story about finding hope in the darkest times. When the publisher read it, they said, "This book will inspire many." Adam smiled with gratitude. When his book was released, the whole town gathered to celebrate. Mrs. Clark hugged him with tears in her eyes. "I told you one day your books would be here," she said, pointing to the library shelf where The Light Inside now stood proudly. Adam gave a small speech at the event. He said, "Writing is not about being perfect. It's about being honest. Every word we write carries a piece of our heart." The crowd clapped loudly, and Adam felt the warmth that words could never describe. Letters from readers started pouring in. Some said his book helped them face hard times. Others said it gave them hope. Adam realized that his dream wasn't just about writing, it was about touching lives and spreading light through his words. As the years passed, Adam wrote more books. Each one reflected a part of his journey. Some were happy, some sad, but all were real. He had grown from a simple dreamer to a storyteller who could move hearts with just his pen. One day, he returned to the same window where he began his journey. The hills were still there, the morning sun still warm. He opened his old notebook and smiled. "This is where it all started," he whispered softly, feeling thankful for every word. A little boy from the town came to visit him. "Mr. Adam, I want to be a writer too," he said shyly. Adam gave him the brown notebook and said, "Then start here. Fill these pages with your dreams." The boy's eyes sparkled with excitement. That moment reminded Adam of his own childhood. He realized that stories never end. They simply pass from one heart to another. He felt proud knowing that his words had inspired someone else to begin their own journey. As time went on, Adam's health began to weaken, but his spirit stayed strong. He spent his days teaching young writers how to tell their stories with truth and feeling. His small home became a place full of learning, laughter, and love. He told his students, "Writing isn't about fancy words. It's about what you feel inside. If your heart is true, your readers will feel it." They listened carefully, knowing they were learning from a master of simplicity and honesty. Years later, Adam's books were read around the world. People from many countries learned English by reading his stories. His simple language made it easy for everyone to understand and enjoy. He became a global inspiration for learners and dreamers. Despite all the fame, Adam never forgot his small town. He still wrote letters to Mrs. Clark, who is now retired. She always replied with pride, saying, "You've made the town famous, Adam." He smiled, remembering how she once believed in him. One evening, Adam sat near the fireplace, thinking about his life. "I wrote so many words," he said, "but the most beautiful story was my own." His eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of gratitude for the journey he had lived. The next morning, he wrote his last letter. It said, "To all writers, never stop believing in your stories. The world needs your words." He placed it in his notebook and smiled, knowing that his message would live on even after him. When Adam passed away peacefully that night, the town mourned deeply, but his stories continued to shine in the hearts of his readers. Children still visited the library to read his books, feeling as if he was still speaking to them. Years later, a statue of Adam was placed near the library. On it were engraved his words, "A story is not written with ink, but with heart." People stopped by every day, leaving flowers and small notes of thanks for the writer who changed their lives. The little boy who once received Adam's notebook grew up to be a writer too. He often said, "Everything I know began with Adam's brown notebook." He continued the tradition of teaching young writers in the same small town. Adam's legacy lived on not through fame or money, but through kindness and creativity. His world was built of words, but its walls were made of love and hope. Every reader who opened his book stepped into that beautiful world. People said that when they read his stories, they felt less alone. His simple English helped them learn, but his emotions helped them heal. Adam had created a language of love that reached across all borders and generations. Even teachers used his stories in schools, saying they were perfect for English learners. Students not only improved their language skills, but also learned about dreams, patience, and kindness. Adam's writing became both a lesson and a light. In one of his old journals, a line was found: "The world may forget my name, but I hope it never forgets my words." And truly, his words continued to live, inspiring readers and writers long after he was gone. The town built a writer's garden in his memory. Visitors came to read his stories under the trees and write their own. The air there always felt peaceful, filled with creativity and quiet joy, just like Adam's spirit. Every year, on his birthday, people gathered at the library. They read his stories aloud, shared their own dreams, and reminded each other to never give up. His message of hope stayed alive in every heart. Adam's journey showed that greatness begins with small steps. A notebook, a dream, and courage, that's all it takes to build a writer's world. His story became a guide for anyone who wanted to write or learn English with passion. And so, the writer's world lived on, built not from fame, but from love, hope, and words that never fade. His story teaches us that every dream, no matter how small, can grow into something beautiful if we just believe. Subscribe for more inspiring stories.